bringing it to them all day. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Win or lose, we bringing it to you always. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, Next Generation Baltimore Sports Talk. I am your endearingly stuttering host, Matt Sroka. As always, I'm joined by the button lover, Josh Sroka.
It sounds like you're trying to be a little quiet doing the show today.
Well, it's recording 11.
A little late night recording.
Late night recording. I'm in a stranger's house, so
Yeah,
I have reasons to be quiet.
I know it was just a little like a little whisper into the into the intro. But it's all right.
This is how I'll do the entire podcast.
All right, you stuck with it. You did your little NPR voice, but you still got in your normal intro.
Absolutely.
So I know we were recording a little late because of the home run derby.
Yeah, we said we record after Trey got out, and so we're recording after Trey got out at around 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a few hours earlier today. But
yeah.
It was a fun performance all around.
It was. This is a fun kind of week for the Orioles, really, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Like we're going to talk about how the Orioles added talent to the organization via the draft the past couple of days, and we'll talk about Cedric Mullins being named to as a starter in the All-Star game. But I guess we could start with what we just watched. Really, a great performance by Trey Mancini at the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of knew he got the invite because more about his story than his power. So to make it to the finals was really impressive. Now there is some stuff going around the internet about Trey cheating in the first round.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that the last ball he hit was after the buzzer.
Yeah. So
he shouldn't have made it out of the first round. But it doesn't matter unless you're one of those guys that's betting on the home run derby. But if you're betting on the home run derby, you got a problem.
And not that I bet on the home run derby, I did not, but I did look at the odds. And did you look at the odds at all, Josh?
I did not, but I'm guessing to get Trey into the finals would be pretty good odds.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what the breakdown to get to the finals, but to win it, I forget the exact number, but Trey Mancini had the largest odds to win the whole thing. He was not the favorite. Shohei Ohtani was the favorite. I think Alonso was third. I think Joey Gallo was number 2, the second favorite.
Yeah.
Went out in the first round.
If I would have logged on to my bookie or one of those sites, I would have put money on Trey. If I saw those odds, I would have put $1 down. Yeah.
Josh. Yeah. What, Josh? But overall, I think Trey Mancini, yes, he outperformed what many people thought. But overall, what was your opinion of the home run derby?
I like the little changes they keep making to the home run derby. I really like the time limit. I like that you don't have to wait for the ball to hit the ground, that you can just go. I like all that. And I like the way they're breaking up the rounds. I like the bonus time if you hit the ball far enough. So I like the whole layout. And, I mean, it was fun today. Ohtani's performance, people want to make it, he gave a good performance. No, he was disappointing. He was supposed to win the whole thing. His performance was disappointing.
Yeah, I'm a fan of how it's disappointing. If Ohtani didn't hit 100 home runs, it was disappointing for me.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of how they've promoted Shohei Ohtani. I think they've done a great job. You cannot stress enough how insane Ohtani is as just a baseball player, and so I love all the promotion that they're doing with Ohtani.
And tomorrow with him pitching and
that's an example. Yeah,
great way to use him and present him. But sorry, all these people on Twitter praising Ohtani for his performance today. He did nothing special today. He was a disappointment today.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to pull out.
Performed today, so you can praise Trey. Y'all get that big discount on Oriole tickets coming up now.
Oh yeah, I got to buy my tickets tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's like 70% off since he made it to the finals.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Yeah, so make sure you get some Oriole tickets. And what's his name? Alonso had an unbelievable performance. I don't know how he isn't going to have huge neck pain tomorrow with all that head nodding.
Yeah, he was a human bobblehead. That's gonna
Yeah,
be. I don't know if he's been a bobblehead yet before, but he certainly has a bobblehead in his future.
I would
Because
assume.
he's a walking bobblehead.
Yeah, and the cool story with Alonso, besides he just crushes that ball, is how he's now made more money in his career off the home run derby than his actual salaries.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny, and it made me laugh too when they were. And I don't know, the villain too is Pete Alonso, which we can get back to.
Yeah.
You were trying to make Shohei Ohtani some kind of villain. He's not the villain.
No.
Though,
Ohtani isn't. Here's the sad part. Ohtani's not even the storyline. He was so disappointing. He's not even a storyline coming out of this.
yeah, but you're talking about him an awful lot for not being a storyline.
Well, he was the favorite going in.
Okay. But no, I think that Pete Alonso through this whole thing comes off as, and I love it so much. Like my impression of Home Run Derby is I laughed and smiled throughout the entire time.
True.
I think it's perfect. It's a perfect TV event. I love the interactions with all the young superstars surrounding all the players.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I love that the other players get excited for this.
Yeah. There was
Cedric and acting as the water boy to see Manny come up to Trey. That's all fun.
Yeah. There was a time when Juan Soto was taking his time out and you saw Fernando Tatis and Vlad Guerrero Jr. I mean, these are I think at some point Vlad actually even kissed Juan Soto on the neck. Maybe I missed all that. But I mean, you're seeing all the best young players all interact, and even seeing, of course, seeing Manny and Trey interact. Don't get me started. But then seeing Tatis and Trey interact there at the end, it's just really fun to see all these young superstars, just the superstars in general, interacting with one another. That was one of my favorite parts.
I agree.
But I also like Pete Alonso as the villain. I thought, a New York Met guy, so that makes sense for the villain, and just a total kind of arrogant, cocky jerk. Even in the post interview, saying he was the best power hitter, and he just showed it. I love that. Adds to the entertainment value for me as well. Like I hated Pete Alonso, and I think he's a bum, but I'm entertained by it.
Right, it's the fun, cocky villain. It's not the guy who irritates you. It's like it's the home run derby, so it's like okay. And yeah, it's the smugness of him and the fact that he looks like he is having the most fun in that stadium at the time.
Yeah, which makes you dislike him more.
Yeah.
Which fits that villain status. But no, I thought the event itself was just so entertaining. I'm old school in the sense that I know no one agrees with me in this take, but I miss Chris Berman with the back. I always loved that. But outside of that, I think it was just a great performance. The balls were flying, some over 500-foot shots. It was it was fun to watch.
And I don't like the broadcast. I don't think they do a good job showing the ball coming off the bat. They show close-ups of the swings and close-ups of the ball landing in the crowd. And
yeah.
I'd like to see the shot from behind home plate of the ball flying out and landed in. Your standard typical home run shot.
Yeah, I think they could have done more with the camera angles. I did like the split screen. I was a fan of that. I actually would have liked to see more. My favorite part was seeing the fans go after the ball or get hit by the ball in the stands or fall over chasing the ball or, fighting each other for the ball. I want to see more. I wish they would have stayed on the stands a little bit longer after the ball landed to see some of the interaction with the fans, some of that chaos break out.
Yeah.
But I like the split camera, split screen.
Right now, ESPN is airing the celebrity softball game, which I think is now going to be on my list as the worst part of All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, no, I've never in my entire life ever watched an inning of that.
Do you know who Josh Reed is?
I've never heard of him.
Me either.
I've heard of, yeah.
Let's just say he looked like he was a 17-year-old kid, and under his name it said social influencer from the BFF podcast. So he's some 17-year-old podcast.
So this is a jealousy thing with you. Okay.
Who's now on the celebrity. Well, no, it's also that I'm old and I don't know any of these celebrities. But I like that now social influencers is who gets called into the celebrity. At least when we had celebrity softball games or the Rock and Jock games when we were kids, it was like movie stars.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. But even that I didn't watch.
No.
Even when it
And
was.
right. And it's why it's on at 11 o'clock at night. Nobody watches this. It's got to be a pull just to get these celebrities to come to the All-Star game.
Yeah, probably. But I tell you what, all the, like we said before, all the stars, they didn't need an extra pull to show up to the home run derby. The only people that weren't there were, the Astros jerks, but everybody else was there supporting baseball and supporting these hitters. That was it just made me laugh and smile this whole event. It was just really good.
It was just fun.
Also, Ken Griffey being interviewed. Can I just say, and I've seen Ken Griffey before.
I love Griffey.
Yeah, it's just every time I see him, it's so weird to see an old Ken Griffey Jr. It just weirds me out every single time.
But isn't Griffey, what I always am fascinated with Griffey is nobody hates Griffey.
Oh, I can't hate him.
Everybody loved Griffey.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of how baseball was in the 90s when he was a star. I think part of it is that he played in Seattle, so he wasn't really anyone's villain.
Yeah.
And
he's just cool.
He was
just cool. The backwards hat, the perfect swing,
exactly.
Just cool.
He was the coolest baseball player then. So
yeah.
And the video game helped too, I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, other sports all-star events aren't like, the slam dunk contest, whatever. Okay, every now and then you might see highlights of that.
No.
But like, this is the only event. Like, I'll watch the All-Star game, but I'll turn it off probably once Cedric Mullins is out of the game. But the home run derby, even if Trey Mancini wasn't in here, I would have watched it. But the Trey plus the Ohtani made it even more entertaining. But baseball has a good thing with this home run derby.
Did you know that the Orioles have had more participants in the home run derby than any other team?
Only because you told me that earlier. But and that surprises me.
Yeah. I had to look it up. I was looking it up after I saw that stat. I was like, really? And I looked up, and Cal's been in it a few times.
Yeah.
Brady's been in it a couple years. The very first home run derby, Cal and Eddie Murray were in it.
Okay.
We had Davis in it. We had Trumbo in it. We had, I think Palmeiro was in it. And now Mancini. I'm probably missing a couple.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of participants, which is something I wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
For something that, not every team has a representative.
Right. You want to get some other stuff?
Tejada, of course, is the one I missed.
Oh, yeah, Tejada.
But yeah, tomorrow, Cedric Mullins. Now he's starting at 9th, right?
Yeah, it took him long enough to announce it, but they announced today that he's starting in center field, batting 9th, behind Shohei Ohtani. So that's a great story. I could argue it's disrespectful to bat him 9th. He should be batting in the top of the lineup. I should be batting number 2.
All-stars.
I know, but he's the best of them, Josh. So he should be hitting higher up
there on a technicality. Kind of like Manny. Manny's there on a technicality also.
Well, yeah, but Mullins' numbers deserve it more than Manny's numbers this year.
And that's the thing. Baseball All-Star game, and like you were saying, home run derby is awesome. It's way better than the All-Star events in any other sport, but the voting's still screwed up. How you get into an All-Star game is screwed up.
I guess. I don't care. It's a fan event. It doesn't mean anything. Or is it still home field for the World Series? But
I think no, they got rid of that. We're back to flip-flopping.
I don't care the fact that fans vote it. And it's dumb, right? Because big market teams who have more fan bases a larger fan base is going to vote for the guys more, and so that's like common sense. But I don't really care that much. I'm just glad he got in.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course he got in. I'm glad he's a starter,
right?
And I hope he gets a hit tomorrow.
Yeah. What does this all do for trade value of Trey and Cedric?
Yeah,
now that Trey showed off some power tonight, does that make the phone ring a little bit more?
No. I don't think anyone cares. I don't know. I don't think other GMs care about Trey. I think if anything, putting his story on prime time, I guess, makes other fans in other cities aware of Trey's cool story, which in that sense might like
And
as an organization make you want him more because you're not just getting Trey, you're getting this kind of great human being with a great
okay,
story.
I see what you're saying. So the good feel good story of Baltimore is now a feel good story of baseball, no matter what
Yeah.
team he's on.
Right. And so yeah, another team might
So
want that story for
let's
them.
shift some jelly beans around. Where
Yeah.
other teams before didn't care, now maybe they do. Plus, it means what you'll probably see is other bloggers kind of mention Mancini as options now, because they wouldn't think of a guy from the Orioles before, but now that they've seen him, now that they know him, he becomes an option when they're writing things that their team should do during the trade deadline.
Yeah, and going in, I would say it's still like I would say if I would put a number on, I would say like 25% chance he gets traded. Just because he
Well, that's
didn't have a
pretty low.
great first half. Yeah, if he would have had a better first half of the season, I was had it at 50-50. That's where I was thinking about it, 50-50.
Right.
But the fact that he struggled a little bit in June,
I
when
still
percentage went down.
I
But
still got it around 40%.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would be a
Just
little bit
because-
surprised at this point.
Just because I think Mike Elias gets the shakes if he doesn't trade someone at the All-Star game.
Well, that's the thing. And if he doesn't trade Trey, who is there?
Then it's Trey, or Cedric, basically.
Yeah, there's really, I mean, everyone thought that Paul Fry was a guy, but now his ERA is over 4. He
now he's
can't
looking
get anybody
pretty
out.
average.
Ever since they stopped letting pitchers do sticky stuff. I'm not saying anything, guys. I'm just saying. Ever since they stopped using sticky stuff, this guy can't get anybody out. I'm just saying. But so he's no longer a trade candidate, and he was the one bullpen arm. The other bullpen arm, the only bullpen arm who might be a trade candidate, is Tanner Scott. But again, there's a lot of reasons to not want to trade Tanner Scott. So I think it's unlikely that he gets traded.
The return's not going to be much on Tanner Scott.
Well, I think actually it's going to be. You know what's an interesting question, Josh? Here's an interesting question.
Yep.
What would be a better return, Trey Mancini or Tanner Scott? I bet they're really close. The return you get on Tanner Scott or Trey Mancini. I think so. I really do.
More valuable. But
Well,
with control issues and stuff, another team says, "Oh, we can fix that."
I mean, he can throw 99 miles per hour. He's got, I don't know what his team control is, but he's not even arbitration years yet. So he's got a bunch of years under team control, longer than Trey.
Right. If I was Tanner's agent, I'd be, telling these other teams, hey, just look at what Arrieta did and Gaussman did. Look at all these guys that left Baltimore and what they did. Think about what your team can do with Tanner.
Yeah, and the other team would probably be saying, Michael Givens, did he just give up another home run? And Miguel Castro, I don't think he's done much. And Dylan Bundy, yeah, like there's arguments made on both sides.
Yep.
But I don't. You know what? At this point, I think we trade no one because I don't think Cedric Mullins is going anywhere.
I don't know if Mike Elias can do that.
Yeah. Well, it's tough, right? Because, and here's the thing too, Josh. I saw this fantasy guy follow on Twitter, an Orioles guy, but he's also fantasy something. He's the fantasy guy is always on Glenn Clark. What's his name? Yeah, I saw him. Not to call him out here, but I saw him say some comment like when the Red Sox in the drafted number 4 and got that Mara kid who everyone liked, and he said, "Oh, if the Orioles could have lost some more games, or like aren't you fans happy now that we won a few more games than the Red Sox last year?"
Here's the problem.
But the thing is, Josh, well, let me finish
guy.
my point, then you tell me what the problem is, because I started the point. Can I finish it?
Go ahead.
Well, I forget. Oh yeah. You made me lose what I was talking about. No, the fact that you're winning more games. All right, so you got a 5th pick instead of the 4th pick. Not that you won a ton of games. The fact that you're winning more games means players are performing better. So last trade deadline, you could trade some more pieces because guys were playing well. And then even in the offseason, you could trade a Jose Iglesias, right? Because he had a good season and helped you in games, but also had a good season. So you then could trade him. One of the reasons that we can't trade anybody this year, we can't trade Matt Harvey, can't trade Jorge Lopez, we can't trade Santander because they're playing poorly. And yes, we're losing more games. So congrats. We'll get a higher pick. So we'll get a number 2 pick instead of number 5 pick. But then we've lost about 5, 6, 7 prospects we could have gotten if we played better and those players performed better. So can fantasy guy think about that for a second? Go ahead, Josh.
What KZ also difference is he's a football guy. And the NFL draft, the NBA draft, they're all different than the Major League Baseball draft. The players, when you draft them, make an immediate impact. They come straight in. There's not as much projections. You're not dealing with high school kids even in the draft. MLB draft is way more complicated financially as well. So it's a whole different ball game with the MLB draft versus NFL or anything. So if you're used to the NFL draft, and I saw a lot of people who are Raven fans trying to compare Raven draft picks to Oriole draft picks, and you can't do it. It's two different. It's obviously a different ball game, but it's also a whole different world on how drafting works and draft picks between the two sports.
Yeah, and I agree with all that. But my point is that when all these players are underperforming, you could get the equivalent of draft picks, right? You could get prospects. Even I mean, we saw him flip whether it's a LeBlanc or whatever, or a Malone, like even those kind of veteran pitchers, where you could flip them even for like a 17. It's like getting a free draft pick.
Right.
But when you don't win any games, yes, you might get a higher draft pick, but it means all your players or a lot of your players are underperforming, and all our trade candidate players are underperforming. So then you can't trade them. And so you're missing out on all those prospects that you could have gotten. And I would argue those prospects would be of more value than one or two spots higher in the draft.
No, you are correct. I agree. And that's why in a few weeks, probably closer to the trade deadline, we're going to do an episode where we talk about kind of some of the previous trades the Orioles have made and returns and kind of evaluating those trades.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, hopefully this week and having the draft in July instead of May or June, whenever it normally is, hopefully that gave Mike enough of a fix that he'll be able to make it through without trading guys.
Yeah. I mean, you never want, and I don't think Mike Elias is gonna do this, but you never want to be in a position where you're just trading because you're trading. But at the same time, Mike Elias's point, I think, would be like, clearly based on this year, they're still in the talent acquisition stage of the rebuild. And there's two main ways to acquire young talent: the draft and trade.
And that's right. And that's also something that Mike's never going to come out and say, all right, we're no longer in the talent acquisition stage. He's not going to tell you when that flip switches. We'll be talking about that a lot.
You think so? I think he will.
I don't think he will.
Okay.
I don't know. He will. I think he
will.
I think he will late. If he does, it'll be late after us.
Yeah.
It'll be next season. So you and I say it kind of ends after this season, and you go into next season starting to build up. I don't think we'll hear that from Mike Elias unless we get to the trade deadline and the Orioles are making a push.
Right.
That's when you'll hear it. I don't think that's something that that the front office proclaims until it's already clearly rolling.
Yeah, right. And I mean, actions speak louder than words. And when he stops trading away players to acquire prospects, then that's a sign that he's no longer in the talent acquisition stage.
And I think that would be telling on how he handles Cedric and Trey is part of that story.
Yeah, absolutely. If not this year, then next year. I mean, I think what he's probably hoping with Santander, maybe with Fry, probably not with Fry, but with Santander and Trey, that they have a great second half of the season, and then the off season, he's going to try to move them. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can see that maybe if they have a great second half. And it all depends on how the farm system does the rest of the season as well, and how pitchers progress and all. I was thinking today we're going to do put some bonus episodes and stuff in the cans next week, and I was thinking it'd be fun to do a show where you and I predict our 2023 rosters, like 2023 lineups or something. What we're expecting out of the Orioles in 2023. So that could be something fun.
Yeah, that may be fun.
That might then help us see where you and I see holes.
Yeah,
because I mean, you and I weren't really focused on the outfield, and it was clear today and yesterday that Mike's still watching the outfield.
Oh yeah, 4 of the top 5 picks, outfielders.
Yeah.
And the only one, Connor Norby, with the second round pick. That's the only one in the first 5 rounds that wasn't an outfielder, which is pretty wild. No, let's get into it, Josh. And here's a guy who I don't think will be here by 2023, maybe 2024. You can circle him, and that's the number 1 pick, Colton Cowser, outfielder from Sam Houston State. Now, Josh, when the board lined up, it was a little interesting, right? Davis went first. I think that was surprised everybody.
Yes, because there was talk about the Orioles getting Davis.
Yes, and Mayer dropped all the way down to 4. Rocker was still on the board. All the shortstops besides Mayer was still on the board. Khalil Watson, Brady House, Lawler, all these guys were still on the board. Orioles went with Colton Cowser. Yep. Josh, initial reaction to that pick, and maybe has your initial reaction changed as you have time to ponder it and be a little more smarter about it?
My initial reaction was who, because I didn't recognize the name. So I believe that's what I texted you. But that was also somewhat in jest. So I then went and looked into it, and I don't mind the pick. He's the next good bat off the board, and I like that he is a college player. When you and I were talking yesterday, pre-draft and during the draft, what I kept saying is I just don't want to take a high school kid, because when I'm looking at 2023, 2024, that's got to be a college kid. That can't be a high school kid. A high school kid tells me that this rebuild's going to take a whole lot longer. And I think not only through Colson, but through all the picks, we see a lot of college on there, which is good for me, and I like that. And I feel I don't like drafting high school kids. I think there's more of a risk. There might be more of an upside, but there's also way more of a risk with a high school kid. So my takeaway this morning after thinking about it was looking at the board and saying, well, once the catcher went out in the first round and once the Vanderbilt guy went away,
Jack Leiter,
went off the board, I've heard enough. One thing that's interesting about living in Florida is there's a whole lot of washed up baseball guys down here. So everyone thinks they're baseball experts down here. And I've talked about Leiter, and
it's like Twitter, but an actual place.
It's like Twitter, but real people. Exactly. So I talked to lots of guys, and it's also Florida. So people play baseball year round down here. So a
lot of great baseball players come out of Florida. Yeah, absolutely.
And I've heard a lot about Leiter and Rocker. And everyone down here who I've talked to about it says the same thing, that they don't trust Rocker can make that step, that his windup has too many complications, that it's too weird and too inconsistent, where Leiter's consistent and Leiter has the ability to grow, and also Rocker's fastball slowed down. So once I saw that, once I reevaluated and looked at that, the 2 guys went off the board, and then the next 4 guys were all high schoolers. And for me, not wanting a high schooler and thinking maybe Elias also doesn't want a high schooler because he's trying to build for this faster rebuild, it just made sense that the next best college player was Cowser. So I don't think it was that odd. I hate the people going out saying he took an underslot, because it's not much of an underslot. He's not going to save a whole lot of money with this move. I think it really was just the next college player.
Yeah, a couple points there. First of all, about the pitcher, and you mentioned Rocker there. It's interesting, right? I saw this tweet by Steve Molesky. In 2019, so this is Michael Elias draft, starting in 2019. The first time Michael Elias took a pitcher was in round 8 after taking 8 position players.
Yeah.
In 2020, round 5 was the first time he took a pitcher after 5 position players.
Right.
And now same with this year. 5 rounds, 5 people took 5 position players taken, 4 outfielders before the first pitcher taken. So it shows that Mike Elias certainly, I think, is more wary and feels like there's just more risk, right? This is not breaking news. There's more risk with pitchers, right? Not just performance, but injury, shoulder, arm, Tommy John, all that. There's just more injury. I mean, we're seeing last year they drafted Carter Palmer, and he had Tommy John surgery after they drafted him. Like, this is just it's just more injury with pitchers.
When Leiter was picked, the guy on the broadcast, I think I was watching MLB Network, and he tried to compare him to Dylan Bundy and said Dylan Bundy made his first major league performance after 18 months.
Yeah, he
And I'm
moved up
like,
really fast, even as a high
and I'm
schooler.
like, yeah, he did move really fast. I said, but you're not telling the other part of the story that he then got Tommy John in 2 months and didn't play Major League Baseball for another 3 years.
Yeah.
So
And
like, there's huge risk there with pitchers.
Oh, and I remember Dylan Bundy because they talked about his like how he was immune from injury because his amazing workouts with his dad and his long toss and all. He did all these things to make sure his arm stayed healthy, and then it didn't, and then it got better, but then he wasn't very good. So yeah, that's not a comparison I think want to have made about you.
Yeah.
If you're a young pitcher.
Real quick, if you're joining us live tonight, you're going to want to go over to Orioles.com/flash and get your 70% off tickets, because I guess the Orioles are panicking because it's 70% off and they're cutting it off at midnight today.
Oh crap, we got to wrap up this show.
So you got to get it in the next like 30 minutes.
I got to wrap this show. No, a couple other points about the draft, Josh, with Colton Cowser. And I know I said this pre-draft a couple years ago, going back, that Mike Elias, there's no secret about how he does things. When he got here, he cut scouts. Yeah. A lot of people criticized him for it. And he built up the analytics department.
Yep.
So it should not come as a surprise that he's going with players that have more of a track record and that he has better data on, right? Because what kind of data, and I don't know, what kind of data do you have on Khalil Watson? Do you have all his exit velocities from every at-bat he's had? Do you have his batting average against 97 mile per hour plus fastballs? Right. You don't have that data for a lot of these high schoolers.
You don't have what their opponents are.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
School. Like, who are they playing?
Right. And some of the criticism of Colton Cowser was he's playing in a bad division, playing for Sam Houston State. But you still had data. Like someone shared his batting average against 97 mile per hour plus fastball. And so you have that data. You have colleges, right, have a lot of data on players. And so you're looking at, and they've just played longer, right? So you have a larger sample size.
And you have how they progressed from high school to college.
Right.
Because
and so
that big step of putting on weight when you get to college.
Right. And so if you're a guy who relies more heavily on analytics and the stats than you do on, the eye test with the scouts, it's natural that you would lean more towards college hitters. And so yeah. He's college hitter heavy, partly because maybe less of a ceiling, right, than a Khalil Watson, but a much higher floor because you know what you're getting more than with these other guys. And so
you're right.
And with anybody,
computers can't show that jump from high school to minors or high school to college.
Well, right. I mean, you can't even do a Colton Cowser, right? You don't know how Cowser is going to go against AA pitching. You don't know how that's going to go. When he sees an elite slider, he's probably never seen very many elite sliders. I mean, it was interesting. The second pick, Connor, was it Norby or New? I got to learn these guys' names. But I watched highlights of him hitting off of Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, right? And those are elite pitchers. Colton Cowser probably has not faced a whole lot of elite pitchers, right? So you're trying to figure out how he's going to do against elite pitching. That's all the harder with high schoolers. So I mean, it still boggles my mind how teams figure out, right? Like how do you look at a 17-year-old kid and figure out how good this kid's going to be, in 22 and 23. But that's, I guess, why they get paid a lot of money to do that.
And that's why we see them fail.
Sometimes.
I mean, some work, but it's a huge risk. We've had minor leaguers on this podcast very early in their careers. We've hooked up with some minor leaguers.
Yep.
How many of them made it into the majors?
None.
I'd say one.
One. Jonah Heim.
I'll give Jonah Heim.
Jonah Heim.
He's doing well. But we've had other guys where we get involved with them in low A ball, and they never progress.
Yep. And some of them high draft picks.
Yeah, some of them got really nice signing bonuses.
Yep. So. It's really hard. It's really hard, and anyone if you look at the Colton Cowser pick, and this is what I did, like I knew a little bit about Colton Cowser because I knew just listening to podcasts that he was kind of a likely kind of guy for the Orioles. And you're right, the underslot thing I think is nonsense. I think for Mike Elias,
every time they bring up underslot, what do? Talk Correa down in
yeah.
That's always the answer is, oh, he goes underslot. Give me an example. Correa.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's one guy.
Right. Well, if you want to, if you
going 5 to a guy who was going to be drafted number 10 probably, and you take him number 5, that's not an underslot. You're not saving money.
Well, yeah, and listen, if you want Mike Elias's tell, if you want to know what kind of player he likes, a college position player who can hit, like that's it. That's the guy. A college position player who can hit. That's what he does. From Rutschman to Kerstadt, to now Cowser, and it doesn't matter. Underslots, overslot, whatever. Like I think honestly, for Mike Elias, Colton Cowser, I really think this was the top guy on his board. Forget about the money. If money was not involved at all, if you just picked and there was no money pool, I think Colton Cowser was his top guy.
I agree. I'm right on the same page with you. Now,
because what the underslot's implying, Josh, when people say underslot and criticize him for it, that there was a guy he wanted. Right. Yeah, the guy he wanted, and he chose not to draft him to save money. And I don't think that's what happened here. No. I think he drafted the guy he wanted.
This isn't like when I go to Walmart and I buy the Walmart brand of something to save $5.
Yeah, he bought the name brand. It may have been at a discount slightly, so it's equal price as the knockoff, but that's the one you wanted.
Right, exactly. And I know if Leiter was available, he would have taken Leiter.
You think so? I mean, I just read the stats about pitchers. He just never takes pitchers.
I know, but that's also he hasn't been in a position with a pitcher like that available.
Yeah, maybe.
Clearly, once you got past him, and the catcher that went number 1 overall, that might have been higher up on his draft board also.
Yeah, I doubt it, but maybe.
But yeah, well, because he's a power hitting fielder.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I would love to see Mike Elias' draft board. Like, I wonder if Colton Cowser was number 1.
I was very disappointed that when the commercial breaks, when they'd say, "Oh, the Orioles are next up," and they go to a commercial, they would show the draft rooms of all the teams. And they did not do that for the Orioles, which I was wondering if that meant we didn't have a draft room or what.
Wow.
I was really anxious to see that room with a folding table and just Mike and Sig sitting there.
And it was kind of, and the Mike Elias phone call was kind of weird because I guess Colton Cowser didn't pick up the first time. And so Mike Elias had to leave a message and then he had to call back. It's kind of weird. I don't know if you saved those numbers ahead of time. I guess not. But yeah, the other thing I was curious about is, and Mike Elias had some quote like he didn't know who he was going to pick until Boston picked.
No,
and so
he didn't know who he was going to pick because maybe
he didn't know who Boston was going to pick.
Right,
Boston picked Colton Cowser.
Right.
Yeah, but I want to say on a lot of people's boards, Josh, this Mayer shortstop kid was number 1 overall, and that's who Boston had.
That's a big risk.
And I wonder, I'm just curious if this kind of consensus number 1 guy, Mayer, was on the board at 5, if Mike Elias would have been tempted to go with a high school shortstop.
I don't think Mike Elias looks at anyone's mock drafts.
I don't think so either.
I think he does his own thing, and that's what I want. Yeah, I don't build. If I'm in a major league GM, I don't hire guys and do statistics and design my own draft board by looking at mock drafts of bloggers and reporters. I always find it crazy, with the NFL draft too. None of those boards are ever right. They don't mean anything. You know best. You do your own research. We talked about how Elias was doing a lot of traveling to go see these guys in person.
Yeah, he does his homework. I have no doubt that Mike Elias does his homework. This is his, going back to his time in St. Louis. He was this scouting. Like he grew up as a scout. Like he got his into the game as a scout. Like at heart, I think this is his favorite part of the game. This is his best part of the game is scouting talent. And so if there's any area where you should give Mike Elias a little bit of leeway, that's in his ability to identify young talent. Like that's his kind of thing.
And Oriole fans were all upset that he didn't take Rocker. But Rocker went, 15th or 16th to the Mets? So half of baseball passed on Rocker?
Yeah, I don't know if that was that low, but yeah, it was lower. Yeah, it was to the Mets, and he commanded a lot of money, right?
He did.
Um, which is fine. It hurts the Mets more than it would hurt the Orioles though, because the Orioles have more money to spend in the draft because they had the higher pick.
10th.
Um,
All right, he was 10th.
okay, yeah, 10th. So, but yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think the Orioles didn't draft Rocker because of the money. I don't think it was that.
No, I don't think it was money at all.
Yeah. If you look at some of the I don't know if you want to go through the other picks. I mean, there's nothing, and this is a little bit frustrating to just with baseball in general. Like I want to be like, okay, we picked Colton Cowser, we picked Connor Norby. Like, okay,
Yeah.
now let me not remember those names at all, and wake me up in 2 years when they get to Bowie, and then we can start talking about them again.
Oh, you mean you don't want to break down Donta Williams or Connor Pavoloni or Billy Cook, Reed Trimble, Carlos Tavera,
Wake,
Creed Willems, Joan
yeah,
Rhodes, Colin Burns, and Ryan Higgins?
no, I just want you to wake me up when they get to Bowie. Wake me up when they get to
Wake
Bowie,
you up
and
when they
then
get
I'll
to
start
Bowie.
caring. Yeah,
Right.
I care when you get to Bowie.
And that's the thing is baseball, they're not all going to make it to Bowie. It's tough to make it to Bowie.
Well, Josh, are you surprised that no one told Mike Elias? He drafted 4 outfielders in the first 5 picks.
We only need 3.
You only need 3 at one time. This is not church softball league.
no.
You have 4 outfielders. You only need 3
Oh,
outfielders.
no. And we even already have some in our system.
Some pretty good ones, actually.
Yeah, maybe we can have 9 outfielders.
Yeah.
No, and that's
Well, and I don't know how much of this is driven. I assume it's not really driven by what you have in your farm system now, though. It
No.
seemed like last year, and maybe in the year before, actually, yeah, the year before, 2019, it was heavy in middle infielders.
Yeah.
There was a lot more middle infielders drafted, whether it's a Jordan Westberg or an Anthony Servideo. It was kind of those middle infielders types, and we have now, and then you go to Bowie too, where you've seen, like Johnny Reiser have a really good year.
Right.
It seems like we have a ton of, and Grenier as well. It seems like we had a ton of middle infield talent that's in the lower minors. And so it actually, I think, works out really well because some of our better outfield talent is kind of in Bowie and higher. And now all of a sudden you can kind of, I don't know, you can match some of that younger talent you drafted last year in the middle infield with some of these outfielders. So I just think it works out well.
And none of your picks are going to hit the majors the same year. It's not like you're going to have a year where I got 9 rookies this year.
Yeah.
They slowly trickle in and trickle out. And the more depth you have allows you to do more things. If you have really good depth in outfield, you're okay if Austin Hayes gets hurt for the 100th time. You're okay if you decide to trade Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, well, just look at this season. I was like, going into the season, how are the Orioles going to fit all these outfielders in that outfield?
Right.
Well, you had injuries, and then you have Santander struggling, and then you have
Stewart's pretty much played himself out.
Yeah, Stewart's playing himself out. Diaz has not played well at AAA, and he's been hurt some. Has not played well, and so all of a sudden, instead of having like 7 outfielders for your 3 spots, you're trying to fit. You have Ryan McKenna, who wasn't even on my radar to play a lot of outfield games. You had Ryan McKenna's playing more games in the outfield than I ever thought possible. And like, who could have saw what happened to Kerstad? Like, that's just kind of a fluke thing. But that goes to show, like, you just need as many talented players as possible, and then you figure the rest of the stuff out later. Because even in the major league squad, when you think you're going to have enough guys, it just doesn't happen like that. So you need more and more and more. If you have too many, then maybe you have enough when you have too many, but you just need a lot of guys.
Yeah, and again, if you suddenly for some reason have too many good outfielders, then you have trade stuff that you can trade to bring in pitching.
Yeah, and we're not at the position where we can do that yet, but yeah,
but at some point,
hopefully we'll get there.
If you don't see pitching in the farm system that you're comfortable with, it doesn't mean you have to draft pitching. You can bring pitching in with money. You can bring pitching in with trades. And the stronger your farm system is, the more opportunities that opens up for you, no matter where the strength is.
Yeah, and I do wonder. I mean, we've seen the success just with the Angels and taking all their pitchers. Kyle Bradish is kind of the lead of that, but we took some more pitchers from the Angels who are playing well in our minor leagues. And I wonder if Michael Elias thinks that he is so good and this organization is so good with developing pitching, identifying prospects and developing pitching, that he feels like, oh, that's a route we can handle via trade. Like, I feel like I don't need to draft it because I can identify underutilized talent in the minors. And that's, again, if you're
Maybe.
Michael Elias, you have more
It
data
works.
on those guys than any college player. Even you have more data on the minor leaguers. So
Yeah.
maybe trading for pitching. And it does seem to be like, I don't know. We'll do it later, Josh. We'll break down all the trades. But I bet if you compare his trading for position players versus pitchers, it seems to me he's trading for a lot more young pitchers than he is position players.
Correct. I also would say that pitching, you don't see pitchers with 10 years at an organization dominating for 10 years, where you will see position players that hold down that position for a team for much longer. So I would wonder, even if you say, all right, well, I can fill holes easier by signing a veteran for 3-year deals, pitching, as long as I have my position, my power foundations down on the team.
Yeah. I mean, the Orioles don't have a good track record of
I know, but I'm not
talented free agent pitchers coming to us and then playing well. But yeah, I get your point.
But I'm not saying Oriole track record. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, I mean, if you shift to the current team, I was reading the quotes from Brandon Hyde kind of at the halfway point here with the All-Star game, and he highlighted like one of the things that surprised him most has been how disappointing the pitching has been.
Yeah, it's crap.
Right. And I think I made this point on Twitter. I think I made this point on here, so I don't have to rehash it again. But everyone talks about how the Orioles are tanking. Well, yes, but also like the starting pitchers that we thought would be better have not been good. Right. So Team Kramer has not been good. Jorge Lopez has been worse than we thought. Matt Harvey has been worse than we thought he would be. All these players. Yeah, Keegan Aiken has been bad.
Yeah.
Alex Wells pitched really well actually his last start in AAA. I hope Alex Wells is up here soon.
Yeah, he did. And I'd say the Rule 5 guys are doing better than I expected.
Well, one of them, right? The other guy's gone. Scroller's gone.
Yeah. Sorry,
but Tyler Wells, has pitched better than anyone could have expected.
Yeah.
But in all, especially our starters, it's just been absolutely a train wreck, atrocious. And so I'm curious, like I don't think you can do this another year with this starters, and I don't think you have enough starters ready in AAA. I'm really curious to see.
Right.
Well, I'm curious to see what they do in the second half. I'm curious to see what they do with Matt Harvey in the second half. I'm curious to see if they start bringing up, your Alex Wells and Zach Lothar and giving them a chance to start every fifth day, or if they keep on running out this same kind of.
True. Right.
I mean, it was nice to see Spencer Watkins start a couple games. I think that was nice.
I was excited that Dylan Tate was going to get a start this past week.
Yeah, the opener action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, just putting him in that position to start the game, put him out there with zeros. I like that.
Yeah, well, clearly what you're doing isn't working, so fine.
Right.
Try something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is just I'm excited because this has just been a great in what has been a terrible season for the Orioles. This has been a really nice weekend. I mean, we got to see our face of the franchise. I don't know who the face of the franchise is.
It's Trey.
It is, right?
We had to see even though Cedric and Mountcastle had great Junes.
Yep.
Where you see Mountcastle was on some pace for like most home runs for a rookie or something.
Oh, really? I mean, his month of June was dominant
for the first half or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just been great because you had that, and then of course in his corner you had Cedric Mullins, and then you get the announcement today that Cedric Mullins made the starting of the All-Star game, and then on top of this you get Colton Cowser. And by the way, like anyone who's critical Colton Cowser, just to go back to this for a second, I want to make 2 points about it. If you're critical Colton Cowser, one, just go read stuff about him, and I guarantee if you spend like 20 minutes just reading stuff about Colton Cowser that these other analysts and other people have written about him, it's hard to read that stuff and not say this is a really good pick by Michael Elias. So read. Hey, here's an idea, guys. Read first. The other thing is, Josh, you mentioned people critical of the Orioles pick, and I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
For my followers, I follow people on Twitter. I don't know, like 400 people I follow on Twitter.
Okay.
And I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to follow you. It's my pleasure to follow you. Love it. And all of them, almost to a T, said, even if they didn't love the Colton Cowser pick, they trusted Mike Elias and they really like the direction this organization is going. And they trust him, to draft the best guy possible. They may have wanted Rocker. They might have wanted Khalil Watson, but they were, on board with Mike Elias in this decision.
Okay. See, I saw a lot of hate. I must have more Raven fans on my side.
Well, but then Josh, if I would ever if you do this as an experiment, if you click on where the Orioles announced that they've drafted Colton Cowser, and then you look at the comments underneath that, I would say, I don't think it's exaggeration. I would say it's like 90% negative, like 90% negative comments responded to the Orioles pick.
I do the same thing on news stories.
It's a similar thing.
And it's the same type of thing.
Well, and my argument would be, Josh, that happens for a couple of reasons, right? It happens. I mean, I think the news story is a good example because good positive news stories, no one really cares about. People want to be kind of upset and outraged at something, right? Like we're drawn to outrage. We're attracted to it. We love it. And so I mean, if I like the pick of Colton Cowser, I'm not commenting on the freaking Oriole post. But if I'm outraged by it, then I'm going to comment. So I think it just draws this loud, obnoxious percentage of the fan base. But I would argue our listeners, if we did a poll of our listeners, an informal poll, I would say the overwhelming majority of people are good with the Colton Cowser pick. I just think it's this small, not small, but kind of this kind of louder kind of group of people who always kind of comment and complain, but don't really, I don't want to say they don't understand what's happening, but they don't fully appreciate, how this whole thing works.
Yep. I agree.
But we do like outrage.
Yeah. But anyway, good positive weekend for the Orioles.
Yeah. All good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can do anything. You want to do ball 4? What do you want to do? You want to do anything else? Or you want to wrap this up here?
I don't have anything prepared. I can do a little ball 4. I can tell you about this guy ripped me off for the PlayStation again.
Oh, you still don't have a PlayStation?
I know. I told you. I shared the story last time when I got ripped off.
It's the same guy.
Eventually it showed up, and for some reason I trusted the guy a second time.
Yeah.
And now it's been like 2 months.
Right. So shame on him the first time. And shame on you this time.
Oh yeah, shame on me.
Yeah.
Shame on me because now for 14 days straight, he's told me it's coming today.
Okay. So this
shame
is
on me. Big shame on me.
This is a new PlayStation update. Okay.
Yeah.
So every week we'll check in with you this.
Yeah.
We're on for 14 days.
I told him, I said I got to talk about you on the podcast if you don't turn up today. And he said I'll have it. And I texted him right before we started recording, and he hasn't responded to me yet.
Okay, in those 14 days, over or under, this is my favorite part, over under, because I've done this before where I couldn't deliver something, but I'm at least saying whatever, it is what it is. I don't have it. But this is a situation where he keeps on saying it'll be here tonight or tomorrow. Over under 10 times in 14 days where he said it's going to be here tonight, and it hasn't been.
All right, so I'll tell you. I told you this has been going on for 2 months. Remember, I gave you my PlayStation 5 that I had because mine was showing up the next day. Yeah,
I've been playing it and loving it. Yeah,
it's awesome. So let's just say I was scrolling back to my texts to try to see. So 2 weeks ago, I went away for 10 days up to do that middle school camp.
Right.
So I gave him time, and I said, hey, just get it straightened out, and when I come back, we'll get it. So I was just trying to scroll back to my text to try to see some highlights of my text from those past 2 weeks since I've been back. And let's just say, let's see. I'm going to bring everything with me today to the house, and I'll bring it to you. Then next day, later that night, are you still coming? No response. Then later, I'm off all day tomorrow until Tuesday, so I'll bring it in the morning. You want to meet up in the morning? I said yes. All right, I can meet you at 7 a.m. All right, then I text him in the morning. My schedule's flexible. Let me know. Okay, well, I got to go to work. Now I'm going to go to storage and pick them up. I said, okay, I'm available. And
how many days ago was that?
This is July 1st.
July 1st. So you got to go
Yeah.
pick him up July 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any update? Not yet. Getting them. And then let's see. I text him, did you get him or am I waiting another day? This is the next day. He says, you're not waiting another day. I'll have them for you in an hour.
An hour. And what day was this?
That was July 2nd.
July 2nd. Be there an hour.
July 3rd. I'm out, brother. I'm coming home with them. I sent him a little "you are fake news" gif.
Nice. Well, that's a good response.
And then he didn't show up. Let's see. Next day, I got angry with him, sent him a long text about how I gave him money for these on April 16th.
Josh is fiending for his PlayStation at this point.
Yeah.
Josh knows I'm sitting here playing MLB The Show. And he's fiending for his PlayStation at this point.
And
he's mad.
I haven't not sharing on the podcast yet, but I have some extra free time on my hands right now.
Right.
So I need the PlayStation.
Right.
And he says he's coming tonight, bro. I'm literally just waiting on him. I'll have him tonight. I said, I don't believe you, but the O's are on the West Coast, so I'll be up late. Then I text him at 1 a.m. I guess you're not showing up.
That was a while ago. They were on the West Coast. Yeah.
This was July 3rd.
Yeah.
4th of July. I said, hey, I can go pick him up. Just tell me where. He goes, I'm leaving now to get him. I said, great. Then he texted later. I say, did you get him? I'll text you when I'm on my way. Then later that night, he's coming tonight for sure. Next day, he didn't show up. I got you.
And this is your neighbor, right?
Sure you have this tomorrow.
It's not like you can run away. This is your neighbor.
This is my neighbor.
Yeah, you know where the guy lives.
No, I know where he lives. I can walk to his house. I play softball with him.
Yeah.
July 5th, still grabbing them today. I'll reach out in a couple hours. Then I text him at 10 o'clock at night saying, I guess not today either. And he says, actually, tonight I'm coming through. Hit me in the morning, and then I'll have them late tonight.
Nice.
So hit him up at 8:30 in the morning. He has them in his car, and he is dropping them off after the kids get dropped off at daycare. I'll shoot you a text once he brings them.
He has them in his car at this point. Okay. This is what and what day is this? It's in his car?
July 6th. They are
July 6th.
They are in his brother-in-law's car.
Go get him in the car. Go to his house. Oh, the brother-in-law's car.
The brother-in-law's car.
Oh.
So then I check in with him the next day around noon. He said, let me call him. No response.
Just skip him. Get the brother-in-law's number and go there yourself.
9 o'clock at night, I text him what's going on. He's still coming, Josh, I promise. And I text back, I don't believe you. And then he says, text him again later. I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of texts, and I'm trying to just like pick this random.
Yeah. I don't think you should. I don't like the skeptical tone you're taking with him, Josh. You should be like pumped up every single time. Like, yes, let's go. Can't wait. Every single time you say that.
I'm skipping all the times where I'm like, okay, now I'm nice to him. I'm skipping all those.
Yeah, but you should be overly enthusiastic. So then he feels really bad when he doesn't come through every time.
July 7th. Well, of course he left me hanging. You would think that since it's my brother-in-law, he would come through. But I told him to leave it at his house, and I'm going right after my morning meeting. So I text him. I leave him alone. I text him at 5:30, and I say, I guess you didn't go after your morning meeting. He has them in the car, and he's going to drop them off today.
Who? He's the brother-in-law's car or his car?
The brother-in-law.
Oh, still in his car. Okay, still in his car.
Yeah. Then
brother-in-law just isn't coming through. We've been through this. He's not coming through.
Are you sure he's coming?
You got to go to his house.
He says he's really coming. Then next day, July 8th, no answer.
Brother-in-law didn't come through.
No, I'm going to shower and go to his house. I'll be back by 10 a.m.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, go there. Like, yes, let's go.
And that's what so then 11:30, I text him. Do you have him? Not yet. I'm wrapping up a meeting, and then I'll be going there.
All right.
Let's
go. I'll drive with you.
No response. 6 o'clock. I text him. I say, help me out. The Orioles game got rained out. I need to play video games. Give me the PlayStation.
You're feeding again. Yeah,
it'll
absolutely.
seriously be done today. And then it didn't happen that day.
Okay, we're getting closer to the present.
I'm only reading like I'm scrolling so much. Finally, I got ticked and said, all right, I'm just assuming that you've ripped me off at this point. It's fine. We'll move on. I'll get over it at some point that you've completely screwed me. He gets defensive and says, "Why would he do that to a neighbor and a friend?" And
Yeah.
I say, "I have no idea why you would do that to a neighbor and a friend, but it's been months." So,
Yeah.
and I saw him then at the softball game that night, and he said, "My brother-in-law's coming." And I said, "Great." And then I see him at the baseball softball game, and I go, "So where's your brother-in-law?" And he goes, "He's just leaving Tallahassee." I don't know where Tallahassee is.
I don't know.
I had to look it up.
It's in Florida.
I know it's in Florida, and I'm in Florida. Apparently, it's like 3 or 4 hours away.
It's on the West Coast,
So
right?
I'm like, all right. So I leave him alone for that day. Then Saturday morning, I text him, and here's my new thing. I text him Saturday morning. "Are you taking care of me today?" He says, "I am." Then I said, "Do you have a timetable?" He says, "Tonight." Nothing. Next morning, Sunday morning, "Are you taking care of me?" "Yes, I promise it'll be today." I say, "Okay." Then today, no show yesterday. I say, "All right, I guess it'll be Monday." This morning, "Are you taking care of me today?" He says, "Yes, I just got into it with the wife about it. So yes, it'll be done today." So then I text him today saying, "Hey, I'm going to trash you on the podcast if you don't have it for me tonight." And he says, "It'll be there." So then I text him and say, I text him at 7:00 tonight, and I say, "Hey, we record at 8." And he goes, "Oh, well, my brother-in-law doesn't get off work till 8:30, and then he'll bring it." So I say, "All right, well, you're in good luck. Mancini's doing well in the home run derby, so we're recording late." And then I texted him at 10:30 saying, "Are you still coming?" And I have not heard from him.
Josh, you're really persistent with those texts. So props to you for being so persistent with all those texts.
Well, because I paid him $1,500 for multiple PlayStations 3 months ago, 2 months ago.
The great thing about this whole thing, Josh, is
You've got a PlayStation that you're playing every day.
I'm playing every night MLB The Show, getting the Orioles to the World Series, while you're just sitting in your butt, not even trying to get the Orioles to the World Series. So you're not doing your part. But also, I don't know. I don't think the guy's trying to rip you off, but it's so weird
it
that
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that he would keep on saying that
every
night.
Day. I told him multiple times. I skipped over the text where I told him, I said, "Just give me a realistic date. Don't tell me today, and don't tell me. Stop telling me I'm on my way to get him when you're really not on your way to get him."
I mean, at this point, yeah, even if I thought I would give them to you tomorrow night, I would just say, like, I'm going to try by the end of the week, just to give me a little wiggle room, and I don't have to respond to a text every night. But the fact that he says every night invites like questions. Well, is it here tonight?
Right, exactly. And he's so late. He's months behind on this thing where it's like it needs to be tonight. And it's like if it's at his brother-in-law's, that's not much of an excuse. Just go to your brother-in-law's and get it. Like, I know if I owed someone something, I would feel bad and go get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have a good case, Josh, for Judge Judy, if you want to take it that route.
Judge Judy retired, didn't she?
Oh, did she? I don't know. What about the what's the one? Tony Kornheiser always watches one.
I don't know. I know there's a podcast.
3 judges.
There's a Judge Judy style podcast out there.
Okay.
Maybe I should write into that.
Yeah. Yeah, but do they award winners?
They
like,
do.
Is it an actual judge?
No. They award winners, but they have no way to
enforce it. Yeah, who cares about that?
Right.
I'll announce who the winners right now, Josh. You're the winner.
We know I'm the winner.
Yeah, got to get those. Got to get that money back.
Right, and right now my family's all away. I need the PlayStation.
Yeah,
I need something to do.
I got a PlayStation. So, I can show you. I can put on Twitch and you can watch me play. Would that make you happy to watch me play?
Bring it to the Outer Banks. It might accidentally end up in my car.
Yeah. Josh, I'm about to go put in my car tonight. All right, I'll bring it to the Outer Banks. I'm putting in my car tonight. It'll be there tomorrow.
I've got a really nice travel case here for the PlayStation 5, so that I can bring mine to the Outer Banks.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure it'll be there.
Yeah. It's so irritating. I'm so tired of this.
All right.
But hey,
I'm glad we could talk about the podcast.
At least I got to vent it out at the podcast.
Yeah.
So I don't know what ball you want to call that, but because it was like 2 weeks of text, but
all right,
trust me, I just skimmed over the text.
Well, now you have to save a ball in your ball bag for this recurrent segment, however long it lasts.
All right. Yeah. I'll give you the update next week.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. I bought some audiobooks, so maybe I'll have some audiobooks at my ball for or whatever soon too.
Oh yeah, I can
So
talk about. I've read a couple
I can be the
books.
smart one to talk about books, and you just point to TV shows.
Yeah, no, I got like 3 or 4 books I've read since I've last done book stuff. So I got some book stuff to you, including one by my all-time favorite author that I just read, his newest book. So we can get to that maybe next week.
Stephen King.
No.
Okay. Who's your all-time favorite author?
Frederick Bachman.
All right, not gonna read that. All right. All right. Well, this is fun. What's fun is next week we get to record together.
Yep. It's been a while.
Yeah. Perp might even join us. I think he'll be in the same house.
One can hope. Yep. If not, we'll just maybe we can secretly mic him up or something.
Oh, just wait. Maybe like a drunk Bert.
Yeah. We'll wait till he has a few drinks.
Yeah.
So we'll wait till like 3 o'clock and then
a
we'll
little
do it.
JJ Hardy action.
Yeah, absolutely. JJ Hardy. All right. Yeah, right. You can find us on iTunes and write us a review. Give us 5 stars. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter at Section 36 Show. You can follow me on Twitter for all my hot takes about the MLB draft at Section 336. And you can follow Josh on Twitter
at Josh Soroka. Also need to thank our new 336er, Danny Loudermilk, who signed up over using the Patreon link this week. So thank you, Danny.
Yep. And you can be a true coconut too by going to section336.com and click on Patreon or support, whatever.
It's all the same.
Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's and go Trey Mancini.